Wingstop lives flavor, and you crave it. That's why we've created the Boneless Flavor Fix for you and your crew. 20 boneless wings, 4 flavors, 2 fries, 2 dips, and 2 cold drinks for just $20. Whether it's lemon pepper, Louisiana rub, or atomic, finding your flavor combo is easy, but deciding who you're going to split it with, that's a different story. The Boneless Flavor Fix. Just $20 for a limited time at Wingstop. The wing experts. Prices and participation may vary. See local restaurant for details.
Blog Talk Radio.
The year, 1888. The place, London's East End. Dead and mutilated bodies are popping up all over, from Stamford to Whitechapel. Jack the Ripper is leaving his mark, and the city's on edge. Yvonne Mason is back with a tale of murder and millinery. The Rhodes Hat Factory is booming while the body count rises. Why now? How are these hats connected? Has the Hatter gone mad? Mad Hatter from Yvonne Mason. Available now on Amazon.com.
Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Yvonne Mason. This is Off the Chain, and it is Thursday night. My guest last night had to cancel her show due to illness. So with everything that has been going on in my life for the last couple of days, I just said, well, we're just going to take the night off and regroup and come back with our week starting on Thursday. Of course, that was a piece of shameless promotion by my ad man, Christopher Dunham. And if you want somebody that does a killer job doing ads, get a hold of Chris. He is on my Facebook page, and he absolutely makes stunning ads. And, of course, that was the Mad Hatter. And if you're into all things murder mystery and England in 1888, download it or go on to Amazon and buy the hard copy. Now, ladies and gentlemen, y'all know I love my show. Well, it's not really my show. It's the show of my guest, because it is my guests that make this show successful. And I was just telling my guest tonight while we were waiting to go live that this show is growing so fast that I can barely keep up with it anymore. Seriously, I need a personal assistant, I'm telling you, because I am booked through August. I have people like my guest tonight that would like to get on in July or August, and I'm already booked. So if you've got a book out there or music out there that you're going to release, like from September to December, please let me know now at offthechainradio@yahoo.com, because I fill up quickly so we can launch it on this show. This morning when I ran the numbers, just on Blog Talk Radio alone, we're at 7,101 listeners. Ladies and gentlemen, this show's not even a year old. We're almost to 8,000 listeners just on the show. Overall, with all the podcasts that I have and that I put out there and that Blog Talk puts out there, we're at 16,555 listeners. We're going to reach 20,000 listeners before the end of the year. That is absolutely amazing to me, that this show that started out as a 5-year dream to give authors, artists, musicians, business people, people with a platform, entrepreneurs, dreamers, an opportunity to get themselves out there at no cost to them. This show has taken on its own life form. And to be perfectly honest, ladies and gentlemen, I could not do it without my guests. They are the heartbeat of this show, and I am so proud of them. I am so proud of their success. I am so proud that they honor me with an hour of their time. It is very humbling. So with that being said, I've brought a guest back that has been on my show before, who I absolutely adore. And I am late launching his book. It's already been out there for a minute. And to be perfectly honest, sadly, he asked me to read it before he launched it, and I ran out of time, and I am very, very sorry that I ran out of time, but I will be downloading his book and reading it, because this man's writing will absolutely set you on your heels. It makes you think. it creates a range of emotions that you didn't know that you had. And when you put the book down, you want to go out and fix the problem. The author tonight is Chad Lutzke. And like I said, I adore this author. He is phenomenal. He lives in Battle Creek, Michigan with his wife and his children, and he works as a medical language specialist. And for over 2 decades, he's been a contributor to several outlets in the independent music and film scene, including articles, reviews, and artwork. He loves music, rain, sarcasm, dry humor, and cheese. This is a man after my own heart. He has a strong disdain for dishonesty and hard-boiled eggs. And we could discuss the hard-boiled eggs because I love hard-boiled eggs. He has written for famous Monsters of Filmland, Rue Morgue, and Scream magazines, and is a regular contributor to horror novel reviews, Halloweenforevermore, and Heavy Planet. And you can find him lurking around on his Facebook author page and his Amazon author page. Chad, my dear friend, thank you for coming on tonight. I appreciate it so much.
Well, thank you, Yvonne. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Well, you're one of my favorites. I mean, after all, after I read Foster Homes and Flies, I had to know more about you. That book still haunts me.
Well, thank you.
Now, you've been on before, so if people want to know your history, they can go and listen to our first show. Chad, ladies and gentlemen, was one of our first guests on this show way back last year. I mean, this show's been on since July. Chad was one of my first guests. So since we talked last time and tonight, what have you been up to?
Let's see. I haven't really. Well, I've published several different short stories since then. Through different anthologies. I've got a handful of those coming out this year that I'm really excited about. And I released my novella Wallflower, which it's shorter than Foster Homes and Flies, but it's still got and it's probably a little grittier. Well, I know it is. It's a little bit more disturbing, and it's not necessarily horror, but it is dark fiction, and it's kind of got that same feel. The same people who like Foster Homes and Flies really like Wallflower quite a bit.
Well, let's tease the audience a little bit before we talk about Wallflower, because I know what the book is about, even though I haven't read it. I know what the book is about. But you have some favorite authors who influenced you. Tell the folks about these authors and why they did, because I find it interesting that those are some of the authors that you've read down through the years.
I'm a big fan of Robert R. McCammon and Joe Lansdale, Jack Ketchum, and I think probably Jack Ketchum and Joe Lansdale more than anyone, just because I like that, especially Joe Lansdale. He writes in all kinds of different genres, and the horror audience eats all of it up just because they like the way he writes. And I always wanted to be like that too. So where it's not necessarily horror, but it's dark fiction, and people who like straight up horror will still like that. And that was my experience with Foster Homes and Flies. People seem to really take to that. It didn't have any supernatural elements or anything like that. But the same way with when a horror reader likes Stephen King stuff, they like straight up horror stuff, and then they like Shawshank Redemption and The Body and Green Mile, and that stuff isn't really necessarily horror. And so I like authors who kind of can't really be boxed in, because that's what I strive to be, I guess. Well,
and let's go to the Green Mile. Let's talk about the Green Mile, because that's one of my favorites. Mm-hmm. And the Green Mile it was, for lack of a better terminology, dark fiction, but it was a sad dark fiction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
And it touched the human element, where many times dark fiction doesn't touch the human element and the human emotion.
Mm-hmm.
Now, going back to Foster Homes and Flies, that also touched the human element, not in fear, but in extreme sadness. And for you to be able to write that book through the eyes of a 12-year-old boy, that still amazes me, because where did you dig down inside yourself to pull out that 12-year-old boy?
I think it has to do with I'm extremely empathetic to a fault, and it almost feels like a curse, because if I see some sad news on my Facebook wall or something, where somebody's going through something traumatic, it just, whether I know the person or not, it just tears me up. There's been times where I will, avoid, that's one of the reasons why I avoid the news or avoid any kind of thing like that, because I have a hard time letting that kind of thing go. So I guess that when I write something like that, maybe I'm able to kind of put myself there a little more and imagine what they might be going through, whoever I'm writing about, what they might be feeling, how would they react, and what would, they be motivated by, and stuff like that. I guess that's maybe where that comes from.
It sounds to me like, because I am one, and those that know me know I am one, it sounds to me like that you are an empath. And ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who do not know what an empath means, an empath is someone like myself, and from what Chad is telling me, like Chad, we take on the energy of other people, and if it's a negative energy, we take that negative energy on, and it wears us out. Like you, Chad, I can't look at something that is sad and I write horror, I write true crime, but I have to regenerate myself, because it literally, like it pulls you down, pulls me down. So I keep negative people out of my life.
Right.
Now, since we're on the subject of Foster Homes and Flies, and since it's one of my all-time favorite books, tell the folks, and this was his first book, ladies and gentlemen. This was his first full-length book. He's written for magazines for a long time, but this was his first debut novel. And when I read this book, I wanted to go find this little boy and bring him home with me. So tell the folks about this book without giving it away, and where you found the concept for this book.
Okay. I found the concept. I was reading a book called Midnight Rain by James Newman. It's a really good coming-of-age book, and it reads a lot like Robert R. McCammon's Boy's Life. If you like Boy's Life, you will absolutely love Midnight Rain. And so as I was reading that, there was a scene in the book where the little boy comes downstairs and goes to talk to his mom. And his mom is fine and everything, but for some reason, as I was reading it, I thought, my mind just started to trail into something else. And I just pictured his mom dead. What if his mom was dead? What would he do about it? What if his mom was a horrible mom? Would he do anything about it at all? And what would make him not do anything about it at all? What would make him not care about that? And so I tried to come up with a really strange, kind of off-the-wall reason for him to do nothing about his mother dying. So as soon as I got done writing something I was writing at the time and then reading James Newman's book, I started writing A Foster Home with Flies. And I contacted Mr. Newman, and I spoke with him quite a bit through the process and stuff, and I told him how I'd gotten the idea. So there's a couple different I pay homage to him in the book as well as in the acknowledgments of the book. But the book itself is about Foster Homes with Flies is about a boy who has a horribly alcoholic mother who dies in her sleep, and the young boy finds her, and he has this doesn't have a lot of friends, doesn't have a lot going for him, but one thing he's excited about that year is that there's a spelling bee coming up, and he has been waiting and trying so hard to attend the spelling bee, and he's afraid that if he calls the police on his mother, because he has no other family, that they will take him away to a foster home where he will not be able to do the spelling bee. So he lives his life for the next week avoiding letting anybody know that she's dead so that he can attend the spelling bee. That's pretty much what the book is about.
And ladies and gentlemen, in reading this book, when one reads it, it's like one is standing inside the book and watching this child as he goes through this week. And Chad, my heart literally broke in half. I know I told you that the last time, but that book stays with me because what people don't understand is children have emotions and children have feelings, and adults tend to push that aside as unimportant. And you brought that to the forefront in such a powerful way.
Yeah, it's a sad book. It was sad writing it, and it's made a lot of people cry, mainly men.
Really?
Yeah. More men have told me that it made them cry than women.
That's interesting.
Yep.
I would have thought it would have been the other way around.
Yeah, most of the women want to, like you said, they would just want to hold him and hug him, and then the guys cry. Several author friends of mine, and just readers have told me, male readers, that it made them cry.
I wonder if it's because they felt helpless and hopeless, that they couldn't fix it or do something about it. Maybe, yeah, and maybe because there's a certain the boy Denny, he has your average life, likes to ride his bike, build forts and stuff like that, and that's what us guys like to do. And then you toss something in there that maybe they can't relate to, and thank God they can't. And it's disturbing because that's not how it was for them. And so you watch this kid go through something that he shouldn't have to go through. And all he really wants is this small, silly thing, But to him it's extremely important. And again, as adults, we tend to poo-poo that children feel are important because it's not important to us. Oh, well, there's another spelling bee, or oh, well, there's another fair, or oh, well, there's another this or that. But at that moment in time, that's all that child has, and it's very important to them, and we don't take that into consideration. Yeah, his perspective is totally different than your average kid. He already felt alone anyway. So, he wants to feel like he's accomplished something. And if I'm not mistaken, he had wanted to do the spelling bee the year before, correct? And couldn't for whatever reason. But he's chickened out, so all the more reason to really go for it and not let anything stop him. Yep. So it was not only was it important because it was something he wanted to do, but it was a sense of accomplishment and not failing again that he needed to feel.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know how many of you all have been in that position as children or as adults where you wanted to do something really, really bad, but you just wouldn't take that leap of faith, whether as a child, whether as an adult. And then when it came around again, you just wanted it so bad you couldn't stand it. And then something happened and you couldn't do it. Or something was going to get in the way and you weren't going to be able to do it. We don't know how we would react in that situation. And what Chad has done is he has taken a 12-year-old boy who, 12-year-old Chad, he's hitting puberty too. You know, he's at that in-between age. He's not really a little boy anymore, and he's not really a big boy either. He's sort of in between.
Mm-hmm.
And would it be fair to say that the psychic of this little boy was confusion in how he felt about himself, his mother, life in general, and all these unanswered questions are dancing around, as well as I've got to go do this to prove I'm somebody?
I think it's safe to assume that, but I don't really get into that too much. I mean, there's some scenes, excuse me, that he has with, you know, he has a run-in with a girl, and you know, so you kind of, you know, that it's there, that he has an interest, but his interest seems to be more needing something or needing someone rather than, you know, anything that might come about because of puberty.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I highly recommend this book. I cannot tell you how I highly recommend this book. If I could have given this book 10 stars when I did the review on it, I would have, because this book is absolutely well worth the read. And it is, I would recommend it for teenagers as well, because it is not only entertaining, there's life stories in there. There are, and I don't know if Chad meant to do it or not, but there are life's lessons in there that I think are very important. Now, you have done, before we, and see, I'm going to tease the audience some more before we talk about Wallflower, but you wrote a story called What the Worm Leaves Behind, did you not?
That is the name that I gave a 2-story collection that I offer for free on my website. That's just the name of it. I didn't actually, because both of the stories that come with it have to do with death, pretty much. So I just chose that as a name. So I have four 2 short story collections that you can get them on like Amazon for $1, and then I offer the 4th one for free. But that's just all they are. It's just 2. They're just real quick anthologies with 2 short stories in them, and they're all titled something different, and that's the name of the free one, What the Worm Leaves Behind.
Interesting. See, that again has my interest, Pete. And then you've got the Dark Designs Anthology. Is that the one that you offer on Amazon?
That was put out by Shadowwick Publishing, and it just came out, I think it was last month. And I have a story in that, and along with, I don't know how many other people, more than a dozen people, and they're all stories that have to deal with mad science.
Science is mad even when it's logical.
It can be, yeah.
See, ladies and gentlemen, Chad understands my dark humor. Now, stepping back to the dark fiction, you were influenced by the authors that you read to write dark fiction.
Yeah. It's not why I wrote it. but I like their prose. I like the way they write. It's not really why I chose the subject. It's things of a dark nature I've been attracted to for some reason. I'm not sure really why, but and when I say a dark nature, I don't mean demonic or anything like that, because I'm a Christian. But but there's something about monsters and horror and things of a dark nature and somber things that I'm more attracted to.
Well, and you think about it, Chad, there is a dark side to all of us that sometimes we try to hide, but and ladies and gentlemen, I'm not talking about going and being a hatchet killer or serial killer, but we all, just like you have to have light and dark, you have to have day and night, the sun and the moon, so do we as human beings. There is that side of us, and we call it a dark side. It's like Chad says, doesn't mean it's demonic or evil. It's just a different perspective on life, I guess one could say. Right, Chad?
And not only a perspective, because I'm a fairly cheery guy. I'm happy most of the time. I don't sit around and put pale makeup on and dress in black clothes all day. But there's also an attraction too that for the life of me I can't put my finger on. I've got reports that my mom gave me that she got from as early as my kindergarten teachers who stressed their concern with my obsession with monsters and gore.
Chad, did you have some of the teachers that I had? I think my mother got some of the same reports.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's okay for us to think that way, because we live in a real world, and it's not our own reality. We are logical, practical, reality-thinking people. Mm-hmm. But we also understand that there is that fascination with the dark side, if you will. What makes someone want to be a monster? What makes someone like being a monster? There's nothing wrong with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a curiosity.
And people like to be scared, quite frankly. They enjoy being scared.
Yeah. Yep.
So, see, ladies and gentlemen, we're not all bad, maybe. Now, tell me about Pale White.
Okay. Pale White is something that I been working on for a while, off and on. And that's what I hope to have out next. Doesn't mean that's what's going to happen, but that's the plan. And it is going to be probably the longest thing I've done so far. I was going to serialize it and put it out, break it up into little things like the Green Mile, and with some little cliffhangers and stuff. But I decided to just put it out as a novel. But it's about 3 young girls who have been saved from a sex trafficking ring by a vampire, and he watches over them, and they wake up one morning, and he's not there, and which is where the book opens up, with them waking up and he's not there, and they suddenly realize, after not being fed what they were being fed before to sustain them, that they are vampires. Up until then, everything has been a haze. They haven't really questioned anything. But without him around, there's not that influence anymore. And so they're kind of, scales fall from their eyes. They're kind of awakened to who they are now. And he leaves behind a note and says he's not coming back. And he says, here are 3 names and addresses for the men responsible for this, for putting you in the trafficking ring. Do what you will with them. And so the rest of the book is this bloody road trip of revenge with 3 girls who are close, and they're finding out who they are as vampires, and learning along the way, and going on this road trip along the West Coast.
So one could say that in their instance, their revenge is best served on a plate cold, and that could be the road trip of all road trips.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is the one that we're going to launch when you get it out, right?
Yeah, I hope to have it out by, late July, early August, something like that. That's what I'd like to do. Doesn't mean that's what's going to happen, but it depends on how bad I procrastinate.
Well, if you don't get it out until September, right now I have lots of room in September, and we can launch it in September.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't that be good?
We'll have to see. There's another book that I was going to put out before then, and it's going to be a little shorter, and I don't know which one's coming first, but I'd like to have them both out this year.
Oh, that would be cool. Ladies and gentlemen, wouldn't that be cool? I mean, he would have 2 books out back to back, so you would have Foster Homes and Flies, Pale White, this other book he's wanting to put out, and Wallflower, which, before we talk about it, what made you write about the subject matter? What inspired you?
Well, I guess I should say what it's about first. So that it's about a graduate, high school graduate that has a run-in with a homeless guy who is a junkie, and he finds himself. The graduate finds himself pretty much obsessed with why someone would throw their life away like that just for drugs. And so he decides he's going to try it just one time. And we know that doesn't turn out like that, when you're dealing with things like heroin. So things get kind of crazy for him. And that's what the book's about. And I got that from mainly I'm very very against drugs of any kind, and I have to a certain extent I have a history with them long ago. But here locally, people are dying from heroin overdoses because some genius decided to lace the product with a heavy tranquilizer. I think it's an elephant tranquilizer. Mm-hmm. And it has killed many, many people, not just in my town, but in other places here in Michigan, I believe. And people are already ODing on the stuff, but now they're ODing and dying from it to the point where the medics cannot. They keep running out of, I think it's called Narcan or yes, something like that, where they inject someone who's OD'd, but they're running out of this because they're using it all the time. And so that's kind of where the story stemmed from, is that.
Did you, when you wrote this book, and no, ladies and gentlemen, I have not read it yet, I can guarantee you this book is intense and very well done. When you were getting ready to write this book, did you do a lot of research into the drug itself, what happens, why it happens, how it happens, and the end result before you sat down and wrote it?
Yeah, very much so. And it was pretty depressing. I watched lots of videos of people shooting up, of people smoking heroin. I learned a lot more than I had already known as far as like slang and things like that, and exactly how it's done, and why you would want to choose this over that, and how much it costs, and what it feels like, and what happens when you what can happen when you do it the first couple times, and after you develop a habit and things like that. And I visited some message boards online that were probably the saddest thing, because these people, they're just thousands of entries on these message boards of people talking about their use and how how they do it and different techniques and things like that, and just very not really boasting, but just some real empty souls, and they're so lost. There was one thread in particular that I found disturbing, where these people were talking about when you smoke black tar heroin, you're supposed to use tinfoil and have it kind of run down the foil at an angle, and then use some kind of straw or something to get every bit of the smoke that you can. And they were more concerned about what kind of foil you use, because certain foils can be bad for your lungs and stuff. And there was this whole big long discussion about what's in the aluminum foil and what kind of foil you should be using. And I'm thinking, you guys, you're on heroin. What difference does it make?
Yeah, you've already killed
your. Really sad.
You've already killed your lungs by ingesting the black tar. Now, for the folks out there that don't understand what black tar is, explain it to them, because who knows, you may save a life tonight.
It's like a gooey substance. It's usually they usually sell it in little balloons, little tiny water balloons. And it's just like this gooey substance. Take a little bit on there. It's heroin, but there's a different way that it's processed. And I probably could have told you several months ago exactly how it was made. I can't remember now, but and it has a slightly different feel and different side effects than like shooting heroin. But it causes. I can't remember exactly what it causes. Something in your brain, some kind of encephalomalacia, something or another, like that is no good at all.
Now,
I think it's probably worse for your brain than it is for your lungs.
Because it goes directly to your brain. And think about it. If they're inhaling this stuff, anything we put in our body goes two places, to the brain and to the lungs, and especially when it inhales it. I mean, can you imagine what it does to the lining of the nose and all of the sinus cavities?
Yeah.
And it fries it totally.
And your veins too, and your bloodstream. Sure.
And now, in your research, when you were going through all of this, what was some of the, if you can remember, some of the reasons, or if there weren't any reasons or poor excuses as to why people become addicted to heroin and all the other stuff they become addicted to?
I didn't learn anything like that from research, but I have friends that have done that, and I've been around that kind of thing before. Not so much heroin as like meth or crack or shooting speed and stuff. And I would say that anything from having a dysfunctional family, like missing a parent or not feeling that love that the parent could give, to sometimes people just get mixed up with, they smoke a cigarette and when they're young, and then they smoke a joint, and then they have a beer, and then they're doing something, and then somebody gives them a pill, and nobody starts out a heroin addict. And so they're still kind of constantly trying to fill this void, and none of it is doing it. So they're moving on to the next one. And a lot of times people just want to feel accepted. They get into the wrong group of people. And, sometimes it really doesn't have anything to do with home life. It's just kind of, I have friends who have parents who are drug addicts, and my friends with those parents will not touch drugs or drink or anything. They will want nothing to do with it. But then I've got friends who have drug addict parents, and they go right down that same path. So it's really hard to tell. Sometimes when you see somebody come from such a dysfunctional family, you think, well, they're screwed. they don't have a chance because they're going to go down that same path. And a lot of times they do. But sometimes they do the exact opposite and they're successful and they stay away from it because they want nothing to do with that.
Do you think that a lot of it has to do with the psychology of the child and their perception of where they want their life to go and how they want their life to go? So rather than go down that dark path, they make a different choice in life. And the others may not be as strong-willed as someone else might be.
Yeah, I think so. I think, honestly, I think a lot of it, strangely, just has to do with our makeup. You know, some people, just like some people can handle, some people are laid back and they're really chill about some things. Some people are angry and things scare them that shouldn't scare them, or a lot of it has to do, or some people are driven and they're just workaholics and they're super successful and they try so hard. And then there are other people who have great backgrounds, great family relationships and stuff, who just can't get up and stay motivated, and everyone is different. And I don't necessarily think that I don't blame it on like poverty-stricken neighborhoods or whatever. I mean, we've all seen success stories from people who come out of those kind of bad situations who decide they want more and they go out and they get more. You know, and their lives are totally different. And then you've got the guy or the girl who just can't find that motivation. So they wallow in that, and they think they're not good enough to, you know, maybe they don't deserve to be successful in whatever they do. It's really hard to say. I wish I had the answer, because I see, you know, a lot of my friends that come from the same boat. And like I said, one person is doing something completely different than the other person. And some people are just so driven and so motivated to not stop until they reach success. And those people both come from good homes and horrible homes.
Well, the sad part of drug addiction in any form, whether it's alcohol, whether it's drugs, whether it's sex, whether any type of addiction, it becomes your master. And you're always thinking of ways to serve this master.
Mm-hmm.
And it literally it doesn't just destroy the addict, but it destroys families, it destroys friendships. And Chad, it also destroys the future, because that addict, who knows what that addict could have done had they just gone a different way.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Because I have seen successful people become addicts and lose it all. A lot of the professional ball players, a lot of the movie actors, very successful, very well sought after, and boom, just that one drink or that one drug, you know, they take another one, that takes another one, and pretty soon they're on Skid Row.
Yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, what the bottom line is, if you're thinking about it, understand that you are more important than that next hit or that next drink of alcohol or that next pill or that next shoot up or that next snort up. You're more important than that. Now, with your book, Wallflower, why did you name it Wallflower?
I usually name stuff to where you would ask that question until you read it. So it's kind of a play on words, and I don't really want to give anything away. I will tell you that one of the meanings is, you know, a wallflower is kind of like a, somebody who doesn't fit in, you know,
right.
Kind of a loner that doesn't fit in, and so that's one part of it. That's all I'll say.
See, ladies and gentlemen, see what he does to me? It's just one of the reasons I love his work. Same thing of Very. The same reason he did Foster Homes and Flies. When I saw the cover, I said, what in the world is he talking about? How does Foster Homes and Flies relate to each other? Yeah, you are so bad and so good at it. So when you finished writing this book, and I don't think I've asked you this question about Foster Homes and Flies, but as artists and as writers, when I finish writing a true crime, and I've been immersed in it for months and months and months and months, and I finally get to the end of it, and I've gone through the edits, and I've gone through the rewrites, and I've gone through the pulling out of my hair, and I've gone through this, and I've gone through that, and I finally says, okay, I'm done. I'm ready to send it off. Do you get a feeling of sadness because you've been in that book for so long?
Not at all.
Like
no.
You ready to be gone with it?
I'm like, good riddance. Yeah, I mean, I can understand why someone would feel that way, but for me, anything that I do artistically, unfortunately, most of the time, it stresses me out because I'm a perfectionist and I think that everything has to be perfect. So while I'm in the process of it, I just want to be done so that I can look at it and stand back and smile. I do the same thing with painting because I don't like painting even a little bit. There's been a couple paintings that were fun to do, but for the most part, it's just a stressful struggle. And because I'm, of course, my own worst critic, and I just sit there and I think I'm too hard on myself. And then when it's finally done, same with a book or even just a short story, I'm just glad to be done, and then I'm proud. But until that point, and that's probably why I keep doing it, is because that constant, cool, I got this one done. Here's, and then you get to share it with people, and then of course when they tell you that they enjoy it, then that's what it's, for me anyway, that's really what it's all about.
Do you find yourself exhausted?
I can. There's been a couple things that I wrote that were not fun just because, I'll give you an example. I was invited to write in an anthology that's coming out later this year. One of my favorite authors is in that anthology as well. And it is for extreme horror. Now, I don't really write extreme horror, and I don't read it. I've got a lot of friends who read it, and I just don't, I don't read it. Gore doesn't bother me, but when I don't necessarily, I'm not into, like, stories about, grotesque sex and, gratuitous things that are, it's just a gross out, I don't, not inhabit that. But I was invited to this book, or to this anthology to write an extreme horror story. And so I jumped on it, and then I got an idea for a story. I started writing it, and I was writing it, I think this was about a week ago. And I grossed myself out completely, and I can handle gore. It's not so much the gore that bothers me. I've gotten really nasty in some of my short stories in quite a few of them. It's not that. It's when someone's psyche is messed up, and I portray them as doing something that's completely irrational and insane. That's when it starts to get a little dark for me. And there was a scene in this thing where this guy was doing something that just did not make any sense, and it was grotesque. And I haven't written actually anything since then, but I'm also in the middle of moving. But I took a couple break for a couple of days where I just didn't want to go to that place where this guy was doing this stuff that was it was disturbing. I disturbed myself, I guess.
I understand where you're coming from. I really do, because it became so real in that moment in time, and you were so intent and so into it that it took all of that out of you and threw all that negative energy into you. So you had to take a break. You had to regroup. You had to say, I'm okay. I really am okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely looking forward to being done with that. I don't know how many more of those kind of stories. There is a story I wrote in my anthology, Night as a Catalyst, about, it's called Deprivation, and it's about a trucker who has a toothache, and he's on the road, so he can't really do anything about it. His toothache is so bad that it's causing insomnia, and he's not able to eat. So while he's out on the road, he is getting malnourished, and he's not getting sleep, and it's starting to get to him, and we watch him deteriorate mentally, and it turns into this whole self-mutilation thing that makes sense to him. And so we watch this guy go crazy, and it gets gross. And that I didn't have any fun at all writing, but I did it anyway, and I put in. So in this story, it's got that same kind of feel where it's like I'd rather not go there again kind of thing. It's not really me.
And while it is not you, because your writing, though dark, is not that dark. Mm-hmm. But as artists, sometimes we have to get out of our comfort zones and go into that place in order to come back and be better writers in what we're comfortable with.
Yeah, I mean, I think in my case with these particular stories, I don't know if it's anything that I'm learning from. I mean, I know that if I really wanted to, I could just write, the nastiest story ever or the sexiest story ever. I don't have any, but it's just not. It's not me. It's not necessarily a place, that I really like to visit. And so maybe when I was younger, I would probably dig that kind of thing. But maybe it's, after having kids and a wife and stuff, and the scary world we live in, it's like I like to draw the line a little bit back further, or at least not so much touch, people going insane, losing their minds, things like that. That's always kind of bugged me a little bit. I think it's just always kind of, so when I write it, it's like, what are you doing, man? You're writing this crap that you don't even like. But sometimes when you get a cool idea, it does feel like it's gotta.
Well, you got to let it out. You have to let it out. Now, can you believe that our hour is almost up?
Yep, that's fast.
It does. It goes very fast. And before we run out of time, tell the folks where you can be found. Go over your books again. Go over your webpage again, because I really want these listeners in 64-plus countries to read your work. It is so, so good.
Thank you. I can be reached at my website, which is just chadlutzke.com. That's ChadLutzke. And through there you can email me. You can get to my Amazon page. You can get to my Facebook page. You can see anything that's pretty much anything I've ever done that's been published. You can go there and sign up on my reader list right on the front page. Scroll down just a little bit, and you click on that link, and you get a couple free stories that aren't available anywhere. And that'll put you on my reader list. And I send out an email maybe once a month, and it's usually just to either announce that I'm having a giveaway. Like I just gave 3 books away recently, or 2 books away recently. I usually give audio books away, or sometimes paperbacks. And the only other time that I really send an email out is to just announce that a new book is coming out or something. I don't spam anyone, but you can. Yeah, the website is pretty much everything. You can find everything right there, links to everything.
And ladies and gentlemen, I'm serious. If you have not read Of Foster Homes and Flies, go and get it, and go and get Wallflower. That book will be very, very, very powerful. both of those books are powerful books. And not only are they, for lack of a better word, entertaining, but they do teach some life's lessons. And I highly recommend those books for teenagers to read, because teenagers need to learn things as well as us adults. Tomorrow. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was just going to say quickly, I've been told by 4 different people that Wallflower should be recommended high school reading.
Well, there you go. And I agree. I haven't read the book, but I can base what I have read from Chad that would be excellent high school reading. Tomorrow night at 8 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time, I have a author that I've never interviewed before. This is her first time with us, and her name is Shania Brazier. And it's going to be interesting talking to her and seeing what she's been up to and what she says about her book, Anxiety Makes Me Anxious. So that will be an interesting read. And Saturday night we're off. We'll be back on Wednesday night at 8 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time. Now, I expect a full house next Wednesday night because next Wednesday night is my 66th birthday. And so I expect... Thank you. Yes, it is. Yes, Chad, I'm 66, believe it or not. Most people think I'm 30, but boy, have I got them fooled. So I expect every one of you to tell everyone that you know, and for them to tell everyone that they know, and let's blow this up to 20,000 real quick. Now, Sunday night at 8 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time, there is a pre-recorded show I play called Rockin' the Chain. And on that show, I play indie musicians that are just getting out there, that have been out there, that want to get out there. I play their music. So if you're an indie musician and you want another free venue to be heard, contact me at offthechainradio@yahoo.com. And let's get your music. I do 3 artists a show. I play 3 of their songs, and I talk about that artist for a few minutes. It's just something we added. So, Chad, if you know any musicians that want to get some exposure, send them to me. Okay. And thank you, my friend, for spending an hour with me. I learn something from you every time we talk, and I appreciate you so, so much. Stay up.
Thank you.
Stay up.
For having me.
Well, hey, it's my honor, my friend. I mean, you're an amazing, amazing human being, an amazing author. And that's why I want you to let me know right before you get ready to release your books, so we can, even if I have to do a special show, since I didn't get you on when you released Wallflower, even if I have to do a special show with you, I will, because you're that important to me. So,
all right, thank you.
I'm serious. I don't lie. I tell truth. I'm honest as the day is long. So, ladies and gentlemen, as we end this show, remember what I always say, and that is, if you have a dream and you want to achieve greatness, why are you asking permission? Stop asking permission to achieve greatness. Just go out and do it. Because I'm going to tell you what. If you ask permission, people aren't going to give it to you. They'll be trying to steal your dream, and it's not theirs to steal. Your smile is your logo. Your personality is your business card. How you leave others feeling after having an experience with you becomes your trademark. And I don't care if it's the janitor or the CEO, the clerk in the grocery store, or the young person behind the fast food counter. How you leave them feeling is your trademark. So remember that. And remember this. The world is full of dreamers. Chad and I are dreamers. If you have a dream, if your child has a dream, if your spouse has a dream, if your significant other has a dream, if your friend has a dream, make it come true. because you are the only ones who can. So until tomorrow night at 8 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time, this is Yvonne Mason with Off the Chain, and then Sunday night, Rockin' the Chain, and we say good night. Chad, stay on the line for just a second.
Okay.
Okay, what I wanted to tell you is as soon as we get off from here and I put this thing up in archives, I'm going to put it on my page, just like I did the last time, and I'm going to tag you in it.
Okay.
And as usual, this is my gift to you to share with everyone else and help get it out there. And then tomorrow, when I put all the podcasts up, I'll also put the links on the page and tag you in it so that you can share it, and let's get you some more readers.
Awesome. That'd be great.
Okay, and stay in touch with me. Let me know when you get ready to launch. And if I have to do a special show, you got it.
All right. Thanks, Yvonne. I'll keep in touch.
All right. All right, darling. Talk to you later. Good night.
Right, bye.
To unplug you. Unplug.
Okay, keep your eyes closed.
Okay.
I want to show you my first ever painting.
All right.
Okay. Open your eyes.
Oh, that's a lot of colors and shapes.
So be honest. What do you think?
Well, I like how if you switch to Geico, you could save hundreds of dollars on car insurance.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Here, why don't I hold your paintbrush while you call them?
Geico, because saving 15% or more on car insurance is always a great answer.
Wingstop lives flavor, and you crave it. That's why we've created the Boneless Flavor Fix for you and your crew. 20 boneless wings, 4 flavors, 2 fries, 2 dips, and 2 cold drinks for just $20. Whether it's lemon pepper, Louisiana rub, or atomic, finding your flavor combo is easy, but deciding who you're going to split it with, that's a different story. The Boneless Flavor Fix. Just $20 for a limited time at Wingstop. The wing experts. Prices and participation may vary. See local restaurant for details.